Welcome to Off-Duty Engineer. I am Alan. This channel is for some of my scale modeling projects, plastic aircraft, wooden ships and dioramas to display them. This is a summary of the scale model build of the Spitfire Mk IXc, the new 1:24 scale model kit by Airfix. I've displayed it in a Hangar diorama. I completed this in August 2024. The complete build is in two parts. Part 1 is the build of the Spitfire aircraft. This is an out-of-the-box build. Part 2 is a build of the Hangar diorama. This is all scratch built to scale. First, photos of the final result. This Spitfire Mark IX is completed here as flown by Johnny Johnson in World War II, paint and decal scheme to match. The Spitfire is displayed on a diorama of a working hangar modelled from the same time period of World War II in Great Britain. The hangar is cut at an angle on the base to create interest and a crew working on preparing it for the next sortie. Next is the details of the Airfix Kit. The kit is a Spitfire Mk IXc 1:24 scale Airfix Kit number 17001. It is the new 2023 tooling with a high level of detail in the cockpit and the engine bay. The box is large, an indication of the size of the model and the generous contents. The final model aircraft dimensions are 397mm long, 469mm wide, making this a good size model for detail and display. Airfix classed this as a skill level 4 of 4 for more experienced builders. I'm not sure if I classify myself as a 4, but I'm always willing to learn. There are 433 parts. This is a lot for a plastic model and indicates the detail. There are a large number of sprues. Each is wrapped in a plastic bag for protection. The decal sheet is larger than an A4 page. There is a lot of detail, down to the smallest decals for the cockpit instrumentation panel. The instruction book is large format in size and 44 pages. In new Airfix style, it is really detailed. Each image has the current part in red against the other parts in grey. This is very clear. There are 5 paint and decal options offered and detailed. Each option selects certain parts in the build, well detailed in the instruction sheet. I chose the Johnny Johnson JEJ option. When modelling, I usually use the instruction book to make notes. I page through the book, highlighting all the relevant options instructions and crossing out the unused options to avoid confusion later. I also made a list of all the paints needed for my Johnny Johnson JEJ option, adding hand colours, primers and varnishes to my list. The Airfix Kit is a new tooling of 2023. The accuracy is really good. The parts fit, the detail, the recessed panel lines. There were no issues of flash. The usual tidy-ups are absolutely acceptable. No warped parts. An excellent quality kit. This was a very popular kit. I recommend it if you don't already have it. Next is the building of the Spitfire aircraft kit. The first step was to clear my workspace. I opted for the following options. A wheels down model standing on the ground. The paint and decals for Johnny Johnson JEJ. An open cockpit, canopy back with no pilot figure seated to show off the details. An open engine bay with the panels removed to show off that marvellous Rolls-Royce Merlin V16 engine. Open gun panels on the wings for access for pre-flight preparation. As I said, this is a very popular kit amongst the modelling fraternity. There are many videos, pages and posts covering the build. My video here is just a short summary. I wish to acknowledge and say thank you to Man's Model Moments, Alex Mann. Before starting, I watched all 5 of his video of his Spitfire build to gain his insight, tips, ideas and tricks. I subscribed to MMM and watched every post and attend some of his live meetings. Thank you, Alex. His YouTube channel is at Man's Model Moments. Following the instruction book, the cockpit was the first section to start. Lots of detailed parts to use. I airbrushed the interior with cockpit green and the silver areas. The instrumentation panel turned out really good, with a black base and dry brushed highlights to show the outlines of the individual instruments. Then the decals were added for each instrument. The other cockpit equipment was hand painted to show the details. Looks good thanks to the Airfix design engineers. Then test fit the cockpit into the fuselage halves. Important was to ensure that the width was correct. The instrumentation panel needed a bit of reduction in width to fit properly. The airbrush I use is the Iwata Eclipse HPCS with a 0.3mm needle. It is a great airbrush. It is even and it is easy to clean. I use Vallejo Air acrylic paints, primer and varnishes. Easy to use and clean. Being acrylic, the spray booth is not essential unless you are doing long runs. For hand painting, I use either the same Vallejo Air or Tamiya acrylic. It is always a big step to glue the fuselage halves together. Check and check again that all the details are added and painted. Check and check again that all the parts fit in dry fit testing. There is no undo for this step. Start at the cockpit, glue and clamp, wait to dry. Then work backwards towards the tail. Use clamps, clips, elastic bands, anything that works. Next is the wings. Again, lots of detailed parts. Individual struts inside the wings need to be fitted and glued in the correct sequence, and then airbrush the internal surfaces of the lower and upper wing panels. The black parts were airbrushed. To dull the look of the rubber tires and for the gun black, I used powdered graphite from Lock Lube, cheap from the hardware store. Attaching the lower wing assembly to the fuselage is another event where lots of dry fitting is needed before committing to gluing. I used a slower setting glue here to allow for clamping and checking. Allow the glue to dry overnight. Meanwhile, the air scoops were assembled and glued and painted, but these were not fitted onto the wing undersides until much later. The completion of the wing uppers, stabilizers and tail fin was quick and rewarding. Check the wing roots for fit. On my model, the right hand wing root needed a bit of work. Use many clamps along the edges, as this will help to ensure that the panel edges need minimum filling and refining. I had very little to do on the edges. Again, thanks to Airfix engineers. Here is a quick photo tour of the progress so far. Next will be the engine. The Rolls-Royce Merlin V16 engine was a workhorse in World War II in a few aeroplanes, notably the Spitfire and the Lancaster. The engine in the Airfix kit is really detailed, with many parts, probably about 100 parts or so. The instruction manual is detailed with two options, for either the basic engine and fit the covers, or for a detailed engine to show with the covers off. Slowly build and paint each section of the engine, mounts and accessories. Some is airbrushed and the details are hand painted. I recall as a young boy when visiting the local farm with my parents to collect our milk circa 1965 that the generator for the farm was powered with a repurposed Merlin engine. The engine frame and hydraulic pipes were difficult to fit together as the pipes went between the frame parts. I resorted to cutting one pipe to get it into place, then re-glued it, then repainted the cut area. The frame result was quite okay, shown here fitted with the engine onto the bulkhead firewall. The 16 exhaust manifolds each comprised two parts to be glued and then touched up to remove the seams. I kept them in order, left and right, front to back. Then painting the exhaust manifolds, silver, then gunmetal grey, shading from number 2 to number 8 each side, getting a bit darker each one. Note that number 1 has no exhaust gas flowing onto it, so it stays silver. Here are some pics of the Spit so far. The engine is completed, beautifully detailed cockpit, wing guns with the panels open, engine panels are ready. I did fix the bottom panel and frames in permanently, leaving the sides and top panels loose. Time for a complete cleanup of my ever-changing workspace. The African sun painting was done by my daughter. The line is a Jekka, mini blocks done in between. This block model was such fun, I did a few more later, like the huge Hummer with remote control. Videos will follow. The right wing root was fixed by grinding the edge down and sanding and filling and sanding down again. A few fills underneath the body, near the tail wheel, and the engine's underside panel. I thought that was quite good, excellent quality actually. Compliments again to the Airfix design engineers. Here you can see that with the fully detailed engine options that the side and top panels do not fit. I did try use 1mm diameter magnets to allow the panels to be popped into place and removed easily, but this did not work so well, so I gave up the idea and left the panels off. You can see this in the diorama later. Ready for priming. I had the engine panels in place now with blue tack to include them in the painting and camo patterns. Also the wheel covers are closed for now to include in the painting. I also placed all the gun covers in place with blue tack to be included in the painting and camo patterns. I remembered to add the air scoops into the paint job, all primed with Vallejo grey primer and airbrush. The bottom was airbrushed with Vallejo pale blue grey, then sealed with clear gloss varnish. I used SMS this time, but I do prefer the Vallejo for next time, to have all acrylic based. Next was the top to be airbrushed in Vallejo ocean grey. The masking was done for the top camo using the instruction sheet as a guide. Noted the wing cannons are split colours top and bottom, very fine detail to mask. The Vallejo brown earth went on nice and evenly. The masking was removed to see the result. I was happy with that. No clear varnish yet, I still have the ring on the tail section to do. The ring near the tail and the prop spinner in Vallejo sky colour, then a clear gloss coat. The panel lines were accentuated using Tamiya panel line accent colour in black. This was washed with white spirits and a cotton bud to be only the minimum. The same was done on the top and washed to a minimum. The yellow was then added to the front edges of the wings. Yellow does not cover well, especially over dark colour, like this brown. I needed quite a few coats. Next time I will take the tip I saw and use pink under the yellow for better colour saturation. Here you can see how subtle the panel line accentuation is. Not overdone, as per my preference. Ready for the decals next. The decals followed next. I kept the relevant masking in place in prep for the final clear coat. The decals over the gun cover were done and carefully cut with a new blade. Tamiya Mark Fit Strong was used to seat the decals. The quality of the decals was really good. Thank you, Airfix. Then I had a mishap. I used some masking tape and then damaged the two roundels on the top wings. I had not sealed them with clear varnish yet. This was not planned or part of learning. I removed the roundels for now with a plan to get new ones and refix them later. Top coat of SMS satin varnish. All masking is now removed. The undercarriage is set into the final position. The wheels are ready. The canopy is ready. The engine panels are ready. The prop is ready. Air scoops are in the final position. Here with photos of the Spitfire almost complete. Note the engine and cockpit detail. The door is still to fit and the canopy is still to fix on. I made a stand to hold the engine panels and gun covers. This was going to be part of the future diorama. I made a scale sketch and used sprue corners and straight pieces to construct, then painted black with yellow stripes. The result was okay. For the damaged roundels replacement for the top of the wings, I did try the water slide decal paper for inkjet at home. I followed the instructions and tried a few times, but I was not successful. I made other plans. I then found a person in the city that could print decals with a laser. I compiled a vector artwork for the roundels, the straight black lines, and lots of other logos for future projects I have planned. He printed the pages and these decals worked fine. The decals were added later, so they are not in these photos. Here are some photos of the Spitfire Complete. The top roundels are still missing, to follow later. The Hangar diorama is in part 2. This is all for part 1 of the Spitfire and Hangar diorama. Please see part 2 for the build of the Hangar diorama. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Please follow on X and Facebook. There will be more videos of my future builds. Thank you.